Tacky? American accents aren't tacky. There's literally so many. Which American accent is tacky? I can't speak to how many accents there are in the UK because I'm not from the UK, but as an American who is native to New York, I could tell you that there are enough accents in New York to fill all seven courts and possibly the human lands. Like, okay, story time. I am from a part of Queens that borders Brooklyn, and people can hear it when I speak. I can't hear it when I speak, but I do community theater, and I had once a music director tell me that I needed to learn how to pronounce the words the way that they pronounce the words in Flushing, where the production was being done, because he could hear the way I was, quote, mispronouncing a certain word, and it was fucking with like the ability for the alto section to sound like complete, because you could hear my sh sound that like is very native to Southern Queens. He literally said, "Get your Ridgewood out of my score." Queens, I can't imagine what the differences between like different parts of Brooklyn are, different parts of Manhattan are. This is why I think New York would work really well. New York accents would work really well for the night court, especially because we have the whole thing about the Illyrians, like Cassian and Azrael, and even Rhysand to an extent. They grew up with the Illyrians, but they also live in Valaris. So that implies code switching. So if, for example, Cassian spends a lot of time in Valaris, I think if he spent an extended amount of time there, like he did when Rhysand was under the mountain and Cassian was stuck in Valaris, couldn't go to Illyria, he probably sounded more like the people who live in Valaris, which is why when he went afterwards to Illyria, he might not have sounded quite like them. And then compare that to Azrael, who has all this like self-hatred in regards to his Illyrian heritage. He would probably work really hard to get any sort of Illyrian speaking patterns or Illyrian accent out of his voice. And it might actually come out if he's, distressed or whatever. This is something that I've experienced before where if I'm around a lot of my friends like from Queens, I'm sure like the more Queens parts of my accent would come out. But then I spent a lot of time working in LES and I went to school out in Brooklyn. I spend enough time out there and I spend enough time like in those spaces, my accent would start to change. I'm sure this is a thing in Europe and the UK as well, but I can speak to it more here. And this is why I don't think that American accents are tacky. Like, what part of New York is tacky? If you moved on to like different parts of Prithian, you could attach that to different parts of America and different American accents. And Tamlin can't have a, quote, tacky American accent. And Rhysand can't be like the, quote, hotter English one, because Tamlin is the first love interest that you meet. He has to be. And if you tell me, if anybody fixes their face to tell me that if we got a Southern style Tamlin with that like thick ass Tennessee deep South accent like Josh Holloway in Lost, and you don't tell me that that is not a panty dropping accent, you are lying to me. You are straight up lying to me. I wasn't even like a Sawyer girly growing up, and I would know that you are lying. I'm sure people who are more well versed in accents and in like different American versus English dialects and the way that we speak and all of that, I'm sure someone else has a better education in that than I do. But from my limited perspective as a New Yorker who sometimes code switches voluntarily or otherwise, I think American accents would work really well with the themes of ACOTAR that we have, and would actually work to strengthen the themes in ACOTAR that are already really weak. So I'm doubling down here. American accents for ACOTAR. Also animation, but that has nothing to do with the point here.